What's going on YouTube? It's James with Shimer Fantasy, and holy crap, I just noticed that I deleted a bunch of old photos and videos just to give myself more time, and it's showing a hell of a lot more time. You can't see my finger, there it is. It's showing me a hell of a lot more time on my clock here, so I could go ahead and do this video. This is actually the second time I've recorded this. The first time I realized I only had like 7 minutes to explain everything, and it was just too short of a time, and I couldn't really get it all out there. But anyways, guys, the reason I'm making this video, this is a new section that's going to be near and dear to me. But basically, it's what's wrong with the Orc and Goblin book. Okay, now guys, I know there's a lot of stuff on the Orc and Goblin community on the forum, and part of the problem, and this is 100% part of the problem, is everything gets drowned out. There's so much suggestions and fixes and things that could be done that not everybody could read it, and people who do read it, their brain is, they don't remember who said what and what's going on. And part of the problem with that is that since there's an oversaturation of people who want fixes and things done, is that it starts to, you start to lose focus on what should be a good fix, because you got all these bizarre suggestions or whatever. And I figured that a video might help, because you got a visual way of talking about it, and then and basically it could potentially just compile all the notes here in the comment section, if you guys feel free to comment on it and think what you think might be a great suggestion. I've talked to Beard before. He wants to fix the Orc and Goblin book. He wants to fix it. We want him to fix it. The problem is that there's so much wrong with so many units, and that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about these units that really need to be worked on, and let's go about this correctly instead of just waiting to see what happens and nothing really happens. I feel like that the community is so split up right now that everybody wants this on this side and this on this side. This nerf should happen and this nerf should happen, so this could get buffed. And the thing is that we have weak units. We have units that are unusable, and we have and that's part of the, like, you don't want to not play with your models, you know what I mean? And since everybody splits, their ideas so far out and spread out, that I have a fear that nothing's going to happen. I have a fear that they're going to change a minor tweak and say, that's a good tweak now, isn't it? And you're just like, no, not really. Still not going to use this shit. It's still useless. So let's go over that right now. And my number one culprit, the number one complaint I have, is boars. Not saying the special boars, the core boars, or the boar chariot. I'm talking about all boars, okay? And let's go over that really quick. So we got our core boar rider, all right, which this is going to be my example for the core boar rider, okay? Just like a regular dude on a little tiny boar that it's so focused on my face that it won't focus on the model. There you go. All right, we got the special boar mounted Ed Basher. All right, so these guys are supposed to be a little bit stronger, better leadership, and have a stronger impact, supposed to. We have, and don't mind the fact that my guys are actually on lizards, but the savage boar boy, okay. All right, and we have the mounted Ed Basher. That's a savage, a feral. I'm sorry, a feral. Okay. Then, and guys, you gotta forgive me for this one. We got the boar chariot, and I'm not pulling Zod out because he's in a box over there somewhere, and I didn't really feel like pulling him out, so I'm pulling out this ugly piece of crap here. But we got a boar chariot. Okay, now my problem here is, and we can start with the boar chariot because I have it in my hand right now. My problem with this is honestly the role they play. Okay, granted, a boar chariot has nice impact hits, D6+1. It has, I mean, that's what has it. Something good for it, and that's why Zod is on it, because of the impact hits. The thing is, Zod being on a chariot, you got a general lord who could hit strong as hell, could hit strength 8 with a great weapon, on top of a chariot that does D6 +1 impact hits. So Zod is an exception to this, because it's not about the boars or the character on the other guy on the boar. It's about Zod and a chariot. That simple. But for the boar chariot itself, it loses that fact that it doesn't have Zod on it. It has 2 boar riders, okay, or orcs. I'm sorry, 2 orcs on there. Now the orcs are only, I mean, granted, they upgraded them to be what is it, mounted head bashers. So they're going to be strength 7 on the charge with a lance. That is great until you realize they only get 2 attacks, and after that initial impact, they don't do shit. You know, and normally I really don't care too much, but then you start to think about other chariots. You think about beast chariots, and not talking about the raiding ones. We're talking about the straight up the Pumbaa ones, the razor tusks. Okay, you think about lion chariots. You think about what's the other one? Why am I drawing blanks? Oh, warriors. All right. So you think about their special chariots, not their cheap ones. They're special chariots, the ones that cost more points. And then all of a sudden, the lion chariots is a grand example. Those lions get 2 attacks apiece. They're getting 4 attacks, strength 5. Okay. These little 2 pathetic fucks, they get 2 attacks total at strength 3. But if you got the charge off, you get strength 4. And that I have a big problem with, because if you got 4 attack strength 5 for roughly the same same cost as I'm getting 2 attack strength 3, that's not worth it. How many times have you fought somebody who's playing a lion chariot, not a character chariot, but a lion chariot, and the lion kills you? Not the freaking lion guard on top. Right? Now the white lion guard on top, they are getting what, I think 4 attack strength 6? Or is it 2 attack strength 6? I don't know how many attacks they get, but they get enough strength 6 and multi-wounds. Whereas these guys, if they don't get that impact hit in, they're getting 2 attacks, strength 4. That is my major issue. I think to fix that specifically, I think, and this goes across the board for all the boars in general, is you have to up the boar strength. And I believe that the baseline for a boar, let's be honest, a boar killed Robert Baratheon. A boar is a deadly thing, especially if it's charging you, okay? I think that the base strength for a boar should be 5. It should be. Because you're paying for a point cost, yeah, for mobility, but they're only movement 7. They're the slowest cavalry in the game, god damn it. And they don't fill a special purpose, except for that extra movement, the extra couple pips of movement. The other thing that is going on with that is that the guys on top probably should have great weapons. I'm being 100% honest with you. At least one of the riders has a great weapon and one of them has a lance. I'm cool with that. But I mean, like I said, these are just suggestions for fixes. You guys obviously probably will or will not do anything with this, but I'm hoping that this helps. And I'm sorry there's beeping outside. There's always beeping outside. I don't really ever plan that there's so much fucking noise on this busy street. But if you can't give them a special rule, a special role. I mean, like, again, I'm saying the other chariots, they'll have grinding attacks. These other chariots will have multi-wounds. These other chariots have guys with great weapons on them. If you don't give them anything like that, basically, they don't have a good combat role besides the impact hit. And if you guys watch my videos, I use the Wolf Rider chariots because they do the same amount of impact hits at a faster speed with the same amount of strength. And that does not mean nerf the fucking Wolf Rider chariots. It means fix the fucking Boar chariots to do something better. Okay? That simple. That simple. Make them being feared of getting into combat. Make them being feared of being played. Like, oh shit, there's some Boar chariots. And I understand if there's an adjustment in the points because of that, as long as it's not a ridiculous amount like the freaking the feral orcs being a ridiculous amount to use, like 20 or 30. Make it something good. And that's what we want. We want to be a close combat army. We want to have these interesting things on the field. And I don't feel like Boar chariots are the biggest offender, but I do feel like they need a little extra punch. And I do think that the Boar characters, no, the Orc riders on the Boars, the 2 green guys, I think that they should have at least more than 1 attack each. If you're gonna keep them, I honestly believe they need to be minimum strength 5 and 2 attacks apiece. So that thing has probably 8 attack strength 5 instead of 4 strength, or 2 strength 3 and 2 strength 4. That's the truth. That is honestly the truth. And yeah, I know you get strength 5 in the first round of combat if you got charged, but if you charge in, you got strength 7. I'm totally okay with that too. It's just that I feel another thing that you could do just for flavor is make an Iron Orc chariot. An Iron Orc chariot would be way freaking better because then you get extra hand weapons and you get a great weapon, and then you could still give them the lance. So you have your choices of what you're going in with, and that potentially could boost up what they can do and also make them immune to psychology. That would be a freaking ridiculous chariot. But I'm just saying, those are all options that would help give that unit something worth taking. Okay, so I spent 10 minutes on that alone. All right, let's go over the Mounted Ed Basher. The Mounted Ed Basher, actually, let's go over the Savage Orc, because I feel like the Mounted Ed Basher will fill in the same role. Okay, so the Savage Orc Mounted Ed Basher, the Feral Orc Mounted Ed Basher, okay, and then you can see my little fat guy on his giant lizard. All right, so the thing about this guy is, let's look at this seriously, okay? He has Frenzy, all right, which makes it a huge liability at movement 7, which means that anybody could make him chase off and whatever. And I know that I've heard through the grapevine that they're looking into changing things up on Frenzy. But besides the Frenzy, let's compare it to other units that have Frenzy that are on Cavalry. Wrath Knights. Well, the Wrath Knight has the same toughness, okay, has a 1-up armor, all right, has multiple attacks, like what, 3 attacks each, plus 1 to hit, all right? So even if you frenzy charge and go the wrong freaking way, when you do hit something and you get that glorious charge off, you're freaking devastating them. So at strength 7. All right, well, these guys, if you take paired weapons, which is an odd choice, but I mean, obviously it was made for fluff reasons for this to keep in same with the old 8th edition Warhammer books. What ends up happening here is your strength 5 on 1 round, strength 5 only for 1 round for special. For you're spending a lot in special just for that. If you take them with shields, they get raised up in price a lot, only to be a 4-up armor. Okay, again, only to be a 4-up armor, which means you're gonna die to bow shots. To, God forbid, you fight a high elf player with an archer line and your freaking expensive ass boar boys are just getting shot to shit. It is that simple. Oh, they have a 6-up save. 6-up doesn't do shit. You know it doesn't do shit. Everybody knows 6-up doesn't even exist, basically. It might randomly save 1 out of 6 people. Maybe. And if you're lucky, you got the luck of Gork on your side, you're getting an extra guy in there. You get 2 guys saved. When you're getting shot by freaking 60 bow shots or 100 bow shots against some lists, and you're getting shot by 100 bow shots, they're not survivable. They have no survivability. And then if they do survive, they're chasing something off the table. And then for what cost? Just to have some strength 5 Boar Riders? And this is why we can't have nice things. This is why you're seeing a lot more goblin armies, because orcs don't have the punch or the survivability. I think that for feral orcs, and I think that feral orcs and non-ferals have 2 different roles, okay? But for feral orcs to be this devastating, I think of feral orcs as Dothraki. I do. I mean, it's just Dothraki in my head. You know, they're dual wielding on mounted back, and they should be able to destroy a line. All right, they should be able to be these elite fighters that are on boars, and that should be something that scares you on the other side of the field. Okay, and I do not know a single person who is scared of a Mounted Ed Basher right now. Not a single person. Not anybody's like, oh shit, I don't have anything to deal with those. No, they're all like, oh okay, I'll just kill those with this alchemy spell. They're dead. Oh, here's some bow shots. They're dead. Here's some freaking bolt thrower. I don't have to worry about them anymore. It's. You know, they're not that good. It's just not that good, and you're spending a lot of points. Actually, they're not horrible in points, but I think, to be honest, what needs to be done is the ability to take more bodies for cheaper. If you're going to have them for the fact that they're only strength 5 with roughly 3 attacks apiece, 3 attacks apiece, I think you need them monstrous ranks, so they can have more attacks in the 2nd rank. Again, up the boar itself's attacks. And again, if you want to talk about mounts doing damage, you got 2 attack freaking dinosaurs. You got 2 attack freaking Well, they're all dinosaurs basically. Lions. You got freaking strength 4 on some of the horses. You got like some people's everybody's mounts are better than ours. Everybody's mounts are better than the boars. So that's something to really look into. That I think that the boars themselves should have more than one attack, strength 5, and I think that the riders. But honestly, I think the riders should have an extra attack. And they should be cheaper with more bodies. And you guys might think, "Oh, this guy's shiny armor is full of shit." No, you could say that, but let's be honest. Freaking Wrath is getting more attacks and +1 to hit. Okay, for a hell of a lot more. I understand that. They're getting that, but they also have a 1-up armor. We have a freaking 5-up armor. A 5-up armor. God damn. Like, am I fucking taking crazy pills? Seriously. So I think that if you could have monstrous ranks and you could have more attacks in the front, just more attacks, you could keep them at T4. You could keep them with their shitty ass armor as long as you could make more bodies for that shitty amount of armor, and then you'll start to see more damage potential and more people taking them because they are immune to psychology with frenzy. So you would start to see that, and it would take a lot more bow shots to deal with it because the truth of the matter is you take a unit of 5 for about, what was it, like 200 points roughly around 200 points. I don't know by offhand. You take a unit of 5, you run straight in and you'll die, and you might get one guy in combat, and that one guy's gonna die to like a spearman. All right, now you take a unit of 10 to 15, which is more ideal, I think, which is more what people would love to see, is a block of boars just charging across. That would put fear in people. They kill 5 or 6, those 8 that get in are all of a sudden doing a huge impact, and it starts to create more resources going towards there. You start creating where chaff is actually supposed to chaff them because they don't want to get charged by this freaking feral boar unit that's going to shred apart a unit. And that's what we want. We want a unit that could shred. We want a unit that's a close combat army. We want a unit that can really do some damage. All right, and that kind of goes back into the last one, which is the special orc boar boys. And now, granted, I like the leadership 8 on these guys. I think that's awesome. On the chariot as well as the mounted feral orcs. The problem with these guys is you're paying more than the feral orcs. All right, for better armor, you get a 2-up armor max for 2-up armor at strength 7. I love that. I love the strength 7. I think it's great. I would love to get a combo charge off with like 6 of these guys and Crom. Then you get the devastating charge, right? But that is asking for so much. Like, I need this and this and this to go together and get there in one piece. And then, not only that, Initiative 2 is the biggest bite in the bullet. And I know a lot of people are like, well, we'll fix that if you just give them a better initiative bonus with using a lance. And you know what? Maybe, but it's really not fixing the issue. The issue is that there's too many armies that are just going to be faster than orcs in general. And orcs shouldn't be a fast army. I'm being 100% honest with you. Orcs should not be a fast army. Orcs should have more bodies than the other guy. It's that simple. So it should not be expensive. It should not be a 600 point unit to grab, 7 or 8 of these guys, or 10 of them for like 800 points or whatever it comes out to. It should be like you get like 18 of these guys, and yes, you would start to see more themed armies. You would start to see huge freaking blocks of boar boys, but that's what like Boar Riders should be. Boar Riders should have these freaking giant blocks coming in at you, and they should be hard to deal with. And especially at a hefty point cost, that's what it should be doing. If you I think the Boar Riders should have 2 attacks. I think they should be, or the boars. I'm sorry, I keep mixing them up. The boars should have 2 attacks. They should have strength 5, and then I think the Boar Riders on top. I think there should be, and this is basically the bottom line to me, is I think there needs to be a special rule involved, because you look at everybody else's special mounted units, okay? Knights of Rhima, they get Thunderous Charge, Devastating Charge, or whatever it is. They get +1 to hit. They get +1 strength if they take a certain banner, okay? But they have all these rules, and I mean, they're elves, so they already get +1 to hit at like strength 6, I think it is, right? And what ends up happening is you have a unit that could shred, and I mean shred apart another unit, and they're fireborn. Okay, and I know that's an extreme fluff piece. I understand that Knights of Rhyme are an extreme, like, it came from another game, another company that these guys exist. But I'm not saying that you should make the Boar Riders fireborn and all that, but I think that they should have the same impact, not in the same way. If you're going to keep them strength 7, great, but let's get them more attacks. All right, and what I've offered before, what I've said in before, and I only got 4 minutes to finish this video, is if you can give them some sort of horde formation, like 6 wide, and let them go up to 18, that will give them extra attacks. That will give them, however many get in could actually change the combat, But you also have to make it cheaper because you want to be able to use at least one of these units in your army. So I'm shaking the camera. Use one of these units in the army. If not that, give them like 2 attacks and devastating charge, so that way the front rank gets more attacks in, and then if you charged in, that's like something you really don't want to get hit with, And I'm not saying these are the best rules ever, but I feel like these rules would make these units usable. And right now, you're not seeing any Boar Boys on the table. I could tell you right now, I just went to Buckeye Battles, I went to ETC, I went to Strength in Numbers, I went to like a bunch of tournaments. I only saw one person use Boar Boy unit, and he was on the bottom tables at Buckeyes. Besides that, you don't ever see any Boars in use, besides being used in core for objective holders. And that's it. If they're just there to grab objectives, they shouldn't even be in the game. It's that simple. Because I mean, yeah, you should keep the core ones in as an objective or chaff clear, But let's be honest. Did you really pay this many points just to clear chaff when I could just do that with goblins with bows? It's or ruby ring. God, 50-point ruby ring to clear out chaff, or freaking 200 and something point unit of boars. So let's make boars good again. This is the first of many videos I'm going to make talking about what's wrong with orc and goblins. But guys, I have to get going. I hope you guys get some input on this. I hope that maybe it starts pushing us in the right direction so we can stop being so split up. And I hope that you guys can agree with some of the stuff I said, or maybe all of it. Anyways, guys, hope green gets good again. And yeah. Anyways, I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Other interesting things. Side note, besides the Iron Orc Chariot, you could always make a Feral Orc Chariot, which would be interesting as well, and give one of those options the great weapon. So, and you start seeing better conversions too. But yeah, I would like to see this. I'd like to see what could be happening. Anyways, guys, till next time, take care. Peace.